What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. The other day, OAN contributor Allison Steinberg went viral. And it's time for us to stop pointing out hate and to figure out how to stop the cycle of hate. And this is hate, anger, unhinged. You're going to see a rant from her in a second. I actually need to let the buffer for YouTube videos go a little bit because she goes a little hard on this one. The response, obviously, everybody's childish. Grown adults are just acting like complete children in our country. And nobody treated this with the seriousness that I think it deserved. They all went to attack her. So they want to fight hate with hate. What that does is you just want to have a war. I'd like to avoid that type of thing, but let me play the clip and then we'll talk about it.
To San Diego, and guess what I came home to be greeted with? This fucking bullshit. What the hell is that? Huntington Beach is the town of good old-fashioned, hardworking American people. The people that worked all through the COVID lockdowns. Yes, that's right. Huntington Beach never shut down through any of the COVID nonsense fuckery. And now we're peddling this garbage? What the hell is this? The only flag that's together is that American flag. This is a disgrace to our city, and it should be taken down immediately. Whoever the hell is running this town needs to be fired. Make America great again. Make Huntington Beach great.
This is a One American News Network anchor, Allison Steinberg, getting upset that she's seen the LGBTQ flag. She's in Huntington Beach. And typically it's more of a red area, is my understanding. Well, first thing, before I get into the LGBTQ flag and the pandemic, you can see, what did the flag have to do with the pandemic? She brought that up.
The people that worked all through the COVID lockdowns. Yes, that's right. Huntington Beach never shut down through any of the COVID nonsense fuckery.
You can see that the way that our government handled the pandemic, our president getting up on a platform and ostracizing citizens.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
As long as your patience don't get as thin as that hairline, I think we'll be all right.
He starts, started before him, but he keeps stoking hate.
You ain't my pimp, nigga. The hell is wrong with these people?
Joe Biden stokes hate. When you get up on the platform and you ostracize people because they do or do not want to, either way would be stoking hate, do not want to take a medical procedure, you see that it's still manifesting itself. What did that even have to do with the pandemic? I think that is a little insight to where I'm going. It's bigger than the flag. And I do not condone her rant. I would say if you are being emotional, then, it's a thin line for me on videos because it's better if I'm emotional probably, but you want to be careful because when you're emotional, you're not thinking in your right mind. And that is typically how leftists operate, whether they're populist or corporate. But I don't think her hate is with LGBTQ people. I don't know her. This is my analysis of the situation. I think her hate is with what that flag represents to her, which is an attack on her beliefs. She might have hate with people who use this identity, LGBTQ or Black Lives Matter, any identity. Pandemic, that's what it was used. Pandemic was used as a weapon, BLM, LGBTQ, sadly. Because for me personally, I have love for all citizens. I don't care if you're black, white, anything else, or LGBTQ. But when you allow a symbol like the flag of the whatever organization you are to be used as a political weapon against people you hate, and the rhetoric, especially with J6 right now, is like locking people up, and Trump has to do with that too, with the lock her up chants. They all have this stoking of hate. And at some point we have to stop it. We have to say, okay, that's enough. We need to have an honest discussion. Why does the LGBTQ and BLM movements, for example, there's many others, but why do they have to be anti-MAGA? They don't. That's the answer to that question. So I'm not blaming them because she's out of line, in my opinion. Why does she have to respond with hate? She doesn't need to respond with hate. She needs to turn that camera off. And well, I'm not going to say her, but what I would prefer if somebody had a message where they got emotional, then said, I'm not going to, or maybe delete that video. Let me come with a better, more measured video. For those, here's the flag flying. not against LGBTQ. But that flag has been used as an enemy, as a weapon against fellow citizens. How about we just unite under one flag? It wouldn't go viral. So there's that natural, I think there's a natural instinct, and we might be even evolving as humans in the early stages of evolving to know what the algorithm is thinking, and just subconsciously, I know this is going to be a banger, A or an F, and she knew it was going to be F. It goes viral, and the people who liked her still like her. The people who hate her still hate her. So why wouldn't she want it to go viral? Here's an example of the LGBTQ identity. This is Pride Month, so it's really hot, where it's being used as a weapon against MAGA. It's not being used to celebrate how we have people of all different political backgrounds. Some may be MAGA, some may be establishment Republican, Democrat, populist left, that all belong to, that all identify as some type of LGBTQ identity. That's not the celebration that we're having this month. Here's what Chuck Schumer said on this 7th anniversary of marriage equality as we march for Pride in New York. We know that LGBTQ plus rights and women's rights and so much more are under attack by MAGA Republicans and a MAGA extremist Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is MAGA now because I guess Trump nominated 3 of them. They're calling the Supreme Court MAGA and using LGBTQ and women's rights as a weapon to use against MAGA. Chuck Schumer says we will keep fighting, we will keep working, we will keep marching, and here's a picture of him with the flag. Here's Joe Biden using the LGBTQ identity, just like they use the skin color, black skin color identity for the white boogeyman of white supremacy or whatever against MAGA, right wing, far right. Here's Biden says,
What happens if you have a state changes the law saying that children who are LGBTQ can't be in classrooms with other children? Is that legit under the way that the decision is written? What are the next things that are going to be attacked? Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
So you might ask, well, what's my point? My point is we all have a responsibility in stoking these flames of hate. Every single one. MAGA has a responsibility. Trump has a responsibility. I have a responsibility. You listening have a responsibility. Joe Biden has a responsibility. Chuck Schumer has a responsibility. Anyone who's black has a responsibility. Anybody who identifies as LGBTQ has a responsibility. If you don't want hate, don't be hateful. So if you don't want Allison, I'm not letting her off the hook. That's not a rant that I think she should be proud of. I'm not letting her off the hook. I'm not against her either. No different than Chuck Schumer or any other person. I'm going to criticize where I think needs to be criticized. If you don't want hate, then don't choose to hate. Let me know what you think. Take care.
Yes,
I mean,
please.
I've been listening to all of this about Trump and watching how these conversations go in the U.S. And I have one question about it. I mean, there's all these people in the U.S. who are on the conservative side who are aligned with Trump for all sorts of reasons. And there's all this tension around his presidency and attempts to pull him out of his office for various reasons. And what do you think will happen if that comes to pass? What do you think will happen to these people that have identified with Trump? And like, how is it that Democratic types, for example, are holding out their hand to say to these conservative types, sort of like, welcome back into the fold? Because it looks to me, from an outsider's perspective, that your country is polarizing in a way that's not good, and that, you know, people are going after Trump. And I understand that. It's not like I don't understand that. But there's all these people that elected him and that are identified with him, and they're not taking this well, you know. And so, well, they're not. They're not. It's not. And you know, you might not think they're very bright and all of that, and you know, they're backwards and all of those things. But you know, you need to have respect for the rest of your citizens, and if your country isn't going to pull itself apart. And I really see this happening from an outsider's perspective when I come down here. And I lived in the States for a while, and it wasn't like this before.
That they're not.
I see.
And yet.
No, they're too preoccupied with identity politics by a large margin. And they tend to categorize everyone by their ethnicity and their sex and their gender. And I think all that does is turn people into tribal actors, and that the end result of that is catastrophe.
But weren't you all?
I think that those two issues are. I think that those two issues are somewhat separate. I'm concerned about the dialogue in the United States around the presidency pulling people farther and farther apart. It has nothing to do with the behavior of Trump. I think this is an independent issue. You can say positive or negative things about Trump as his might.
But he's only there because they support him. You see,
I know.
mean, that's the thing. That's
the issue. That's the issue. Is they did support him.